uh, Jen Sala, the MEC President. I'm Andrew Henderson, your MEC Vice President, and Toy Scott, the MEC Secretary Treasurer. The voting members of the MEC are the local presidents. That's Kathleen O'Brien for 71, New Ware for 79, Ronald Bowman for 81, Wilmer Wynn for 84, Michael Rice for 85, Brianna Whalen for 86, and Ethan Clark for 87.
Andrew, we didn't go through the mutual respect policy. You just want
Yeah,
to cover that real quick?
it's
It is hiding on the
so
slide.
it is, yeah. With the mutual respect policy, the Association of Flight Attendants, CWA, is opposed to any discrimination based on age, color, disability, gender identity, or gender expression. Unacceptable behavior includes unwelcome physical, verbal, or nonverbal conduct, including the use of electronic communications and/or behavior that ridicules, intimidates, or is physically abusive or disruptive. What we ask is that you treat everyone, including all AFA-CWA members, leaders, and activists, as well as all AFA-CWA staff members and meeting guests, with respect and dignity. So now on to our management update. Jen?
All right. So we did meet with management this morning. We did our grievance hearing, and then we did talk to the management team that we talk to regularly to try and get some answers for you guys. We've had an issue, and I think we talked about it last month, about you being written up when your flight tabs go missing. And it's not so much, I mean, if we're going to the company and following their policy and saying, hey, my flight tab, I left my flight tab somewhere on the plane, obviously, and I'm trying to get it back. They're writing you guys up for it, and we don't agree with that. We think that you should only be written up if you don't go to them and tell them that you're missing it and you're flying around without a flight tab. So it's a fight. It's an ongoing fight. They don't agree with us at this time. But that doesn't mean we're not going to still push this issue. I truly believe if you guys are following the policy that's put in place that says if you don't have your fly tab that you go get one, that you're following the rules and not breaking the rules. So we're going to continue to fight that one for you. We have been requesting pay for the time that you guys had to go get your SIM card installed. That's still also an ongoing conversation. It is part of 3I1 in our contract. If you have to go in off duty to get something, then they should be paying you for it. So we are fighting that one as well. We are looking at the fly tabs and trying to at least ask them to make some changes that make it a little easier for us, like adding the positions for inventory. All of us obviously don't use inventory. The seat map with an open tab like we had on the olds, you could just go directly to the seat map. We're also trying to get a live seating map. They are talking about doing some updates, but those updates right now are looking to be 6 to 9 months out. So we're going to push for that to happen sooner. However, that's the update on that. We are trying to get some better stuff. The other thing that's happening is we are also pushing to get something better than the fly tab that we currently have. Obviously, for a lot of reasons, it's not the best product. We would like to see a better product in our hands. So we have asked and requesting to get something better for you guys out there. We have an issue just in Atlanta. Apparently you need a SIDA badge in Atlanta to access the elevators. So people are tromping up the stairs with their bags, and some people are getting injured. There is a bag drop in the Atlanta airport. So if you're an Atlanta flight attendant, you can go ahead and drop your bags before you make your way up to the crew room. That way you're not carrying your stuff up and down, and hopefully reducing the chance of injuring yourself. We also have an ongoing battle with the company about being overstaffed and having to make minimum hours. We believe if they're going to overstaff us and not give you guys the opportunity to pick up trips and not have enough trips in there to pick up, that they shouldn't penalize us for not being over 50 hours. It's still an ongoing conversation, but I do believe in the coming months, we might see a change on that as far as on a month-to-month basis while we're overstaffed, not being penalized if you drop. But we will talk about that a little more next month. Hopefully I'll get something out to you sooner than that and let you know if you can drop or if there's going to be no penalty for dropping, I should say. And keep in mind that if you do normally drop or want to drop below 50, that right now they are offering low time positions on a month-to-month basis, and that should continue while we're overstaffed as well. So if you are someone who just doesn't want to fly over 50 hours, that low time position can help a lot. You only have to fly 37.5 as opposed to the 50. So keep that in mind. And you don't lose any benefits on your temporary low time position. So you'll accrue all your vacation, all your sick. So that's a good thing to do if you already know you're not going to hit that 50 hour mark, or if you get close every month. Um, let's see. We have an issue right now where the company, we're calling it double jeopardy. They're double dinging you guys with holiday sick points and then a step of discipline. We feel that that's not fair. You're already getting extra points for calling out a holiday, and then some of you are also receiving a step on the performance side. We had a long discussion about that. We don't think it's fair, obviously. The penalty for calling out a holiday is already in with the points. They don't need to have an additional penalty. So we're trying to get that fixed. As you all are probably more than aware of, we have catering carts that are damaged and unusable in a lot of our galleys right now, where the entire galley area, at least where the full carts and half carts are completely blocked off. So catering can't get into them, and no one's fixing them, and they're riding around, and you're not getting catered properly because of it. I know aircraft 367, 713, and 351. If you guys are riding on any other ones that you see besides these three, if you could shoot me an email. I'm trying to track how many airplanes we have out there like this. Let me know. But what we're hearing from management on this one is that it's actually a structural wall issue in the galleys. And so they can only get these carts, these airplanes fixed when they come in for a maintenance check. So that's why they're flying around so long. But we have asked and they have agreed to go ahead and try and get these airplane fixed sooner than their scheduled maintenance time. So we're hoping that that's going to be resolved soon. But please, if you do know any other aircraft that have it besides these three that are listed, if you could let me know, I'd appreciate it. We've asked for, and well, this goes back to Stephen Howe back when we were fighting some dependability issues. We've asked for dependability incentives. I mean, they're always punishing us for not showing up, but what about rewarding us for the ones who show up regularly or on time and don't call in sick? So Stephen, when he was here, had mentioned getting additional days off, or having positive space for family to join you on layovers, such things. Also, we would also like to see a little money incentive in there. But Kate, that's just something we brought up today. We'd like to see the company implement some positive dependability stuff as opposed to all the negative ones that we keep seeing over and over. So we've asked for that. The uniform guideline update, we have pushed for the last year to see a relaxed policy on tattoos and piercings. The response I got today was not positive. They basically said when we see flight attendants following the uniform guidelines as it is, then we'll consider loosening the standards. It was not a very good answer. But as of right now, they're not willing to look at the tattoos and piercings and loosening that policy up right now. We've also had a lot of flight attendants recently asking about a medication list, like what's approved, what can I fly on, what can I not fly with. There's actually no approved medication list for flying. You need to speak to your doctor. You need to let them know what your duties are, and whether or not that medicine can be used while you're flying, if it's going to affect you, if you're going to be sleepy or whatever. Those are things that they can be taken when you're flying. However, if you are taking any medications while you're flying that the doctor says you can fly with, you do need to have a current prescription to take it while on the airplane. So if you got a drug test or something and they had to come back and ask you, you would need to have a current and valid prescription for it. Um, we've had a lot of issues just in the last couple days about the Easy 20 tickets. Those are not positive states, those are revenue tickets, and who should get removed. Apparently, behind the doors, Frontier, of course, changed the policy and didn't tell anybody. But the policy has changed. The person who gets removed from the flight after taking volunteers. So let's say you're on an Easy 20 ticket, it is a revenue ticket. You shouldn't technically be pulled. However, if you if they've asked for volunteers and they don't have enough volunteers, the next procedure for the gate agents currently is they look at the least expensive ticket, and the least expensive ticket gets pulled from the flight. Considering we're the ones that get a 20% discount on the fare, if there's no Go Wild people on that flight, then yes, you're going to be the one that's pulled. It's going to be rare. It's rare that we actually take involuntary people. Usually the offering people money and getting volunteers is sufficient in clearing the flight and getting people on. However, if there is no volunteers and involuntary, the new process that Frontier is utilizing, and it's because of the Go Wild people. They were trying to get the Go Wild people off. I mean, you know what I mean? They're not paying for the ticket at all. They're just paying the taxes. So they would be less than our Easy 20. But if there's none of those people on, then yeah, we're probably going to be the next people on the low paying list. And so I did rail into them today. We're not happy about it. We think it's another hit to our benefits. And it's not something we're okay with. So the company was going to take it back and see what we could do. However, it's like I said, the policy has changed, and they are going with the cheapest ticket to pull for involuntary currently. The other thing that we heard a lot this week was crews were getting stranded in hotel lobbies because hotel bills were not being paid. And we just, the company said that the credit card that was on file for all the hotels expired. And now there's a new internal process to make sure that that doesn't happen. And all of those hotel bills should have been resolved on Monday morning this week, so early Monday morning. So that should not be a problem anymore. If you find that it is, if you could let us know. But we were told that all bills have been paid and all rooms should be available to the flight attendants at this point. So I apologize if you were one of those crews that sat in a lobby and we had to help you get a room. That's about it for what we talked about today. But I guess we can move on to questions, Andrew. Oh, you're on silent.
Yes, we can move on to questions.
Great. All right.
So if you have a question, if you can raise your hand, we'll unmute you, we'll chat with you about it. Let us know. Lori.
Sorry, I had to unmute. Yes, hi. I'm seeing a lot of problems with our LOA department taking weeks, sometimes even over a month, to recode FML people. We're getting fact-finding meetings and suspensions because they're not recoding these timely. What can we do to get the company to get on this?
So, Lori, we've had separate meetings with the company about this. They've had a huge turnover in the LOA department. And currently we are now getting with a new girl and trying to update all of the recoding base per base. And so hopefully you're going to see some changes in the near future, but they do have people working in the LOA office now. The one that retired is gone, and we do have new people in there. And our presidents, your local presidents, have been working to make sure those recodes are getting done. So hopefully we're going to see that is a reality pretty soon.
Okay, so the current fact-finding meetings then when it's employees that are currently on suspension for these recode issues, we can continue to ask for the suspension to be pay protected, correct?
Absolutely. And Lori, we can take that offline. I probably have some more information as a grievance rep that I can fill you in on. So just let me know when we can talk.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Kendra.
Hello, everyone. Hope you're all
Hi.
doing well. Um, my question is regarding recruiting, training, and the IOEs. Has anyone, I mean, I'm sure you all have noticed the change or the lackluster recruiting, the beyond lackluster training, and the new process of IOEs. I do IOEs. I I'm low key, high key, because we're all on this call here. I don't even know why I'm continuing to stay in this program. It is a dumpster fire. What they're doing is craziness. And
Yep.
I'm wondering if any discussions have been had regarding recruiting. I guess that's a separate issue. My concern is literally the training and the IOE process. I know it's difficult because now we're doing IOEs prior to them graduating. So technically they're not protected by the union or by AFA. So the duty days are, what they are. We have, crew scheduling can't assist them with finding hotels. We've got Maureen and Haresh. Yes, I'm saying names who are telling us as IOEs. I mean, I'm being for real here. They're telling
Right.
us this is the email address that you need to contact if you have issues, problems, questions, but no one's getting back to anyone. They're telling us for April, we are, you have mandatory IOEs, you must do them. We've consistently told them that this process, they got, whatever this new process is that you guys have implemented isn't working. But instead of working with us, they're just doubling down on it, hiring new, ISCs, God bless them, and then shoving 2 weeks of IOEs on them with no training at all. Now, so
Kendra,
not only am I doing ISC, IOEs, I'm also, because I'm a good person, I'm helping the new
you
IOE, the
ISCs.
ISCs kind of navigate through this process. A lot of them don't even know that if they're having hotel issues with their IOEs, they can't call crew scheduling like we used to be able to do because they haven't graduated yet. All of that goes through the in-flight training department, and then when you email them for help, no one's answering emails until, whenever they feel like it. I
Right.
am ashamed to be a part of this program, but the reason I'm not leaving is because the reason I want to do them is because my desire to be a mentor and a coach is greater than the drama that they are putting us through to do these IOEs. So I'm wondering if anyone has talked to Maureen Haresh, whoever is in this,
Yep.
Gilles, is that his
Hmm.
name? And
Yes, that's
discuss
his name.
this process with them, and maybe come up with some sort of middle ground, because clearly our input to them is, they just high key, they just do not care.
Right. Kendra, first of all, let me say what you just said is absolutely well said and absolutely the truth. You have nailed it. There's not one word that you just spoke that we haven't come to Maureen and Haresh and the training department and in-flight and Gilles and everybody else we can actually come to and said the exact same things. We also think there's a dumpster fire going on. We also believe that the way that they're doing things is not working for anyone. It's not working for the IOEs, it's not working for the ISCs, it's not working for the working crew that's on board. There's not enough room on these airplanes for what they're doing. And then they throw these poor IOEs, these 22-hour duty days because they think that the deadheading doesn't count and sitting in the airport doesn't count towards their duty day. We do have our hands tied in a lot of this, Kendra. It is an IOE is not technically an employee, and technically not a flight attendant and not under our CBA. And because of that, we have our hands tied in a lot of instances. However, we are using words such as, morals and ethics and integrity, and trying to persuade them that doing right by these people is better than how we're handling it now. We're also using words like safety and security, and hoping that our crews are doing ASAP reports when there's too many people on board and there's not enough room to be doing the work that they're doing. So we're pushing from all sides, but as you said, we have two walls that are in place, and one is named Maureen and the other one is named Haresh. And they are not flexible in their thinking, or that they are not willing to accept that this is not a program that's working. And so we have had, I can't even tell you how many meetings we've had trying to persuade them that this is not the way to go. Trying to tell them that the IOEs are being left out there, and that the ISCs are not, not liking the program. The IOEs are not being handled correctly, and the working crew is crowded, to say the least. They're crowded, they're uncomfortable, they don't know what they're supposed to be doing, because we've got these deadheads that are now supposed to be working. Are they deadheads now? Are they not deadheads? So we hear you. We know what's going on. We are well aware. We've had several meetings with the parties that we need to talk to try and fix it. We are hoping, and we do want flight attendants who come into these situations, if you're the working crew and too many people, you can't do your job, whatever the case may be, if you want to write an ASAP on that, that will help us get the point across. But keep in mind that, like I said, Kendra, the whole email thing, them not being able to get a hold, the IOEs being stranded somewhere and not being able to get home. We've gone through the full gamut trying to fix this problem. And we are 100% in agreement with you about everything that's going on out there. And we were continuing to push, but like I said, we hit walls with Maureen and Haresh. It's a very tough sell to tell them that their program isn't working.
It's incredibly frustrating, and just like we've also expressed our, opinion on it, and they're saying, oh, it's about, you guys just don't like change. And it's not about change. I have no problem with change if it's
Right.
change in a positive direction. But this
And
is
if it
clearly in a
works,
negative direction. Exactly. And it's like,
right,
instead of working with us to create and develop a program that everyone can be happy with, that we're, that you're not, I mean, you have to know that something is wrong when you're literally emailing us every month begging for volunteers. And then when you
right,
don't get the volunteers, it's like, okay, well, what can we do? We'll just hire a bunch of new people. And I mean, I don't know if you guys know this. Yes, I'm spilling all the tea right now. They hired brand new ISCs, and put 2 weeks of IOEs, doubling them up on their schedules for March that they were not aware of when they bid for March. So it wasn't like these days are already going to be blocked off on your schedule when you're bidding for March and you're aware of them. No, people are bidding, these new ISCs are bidding for March like normal. And then when the bids come out for March, they've got, 10 days of CO2 days that they knew nothing about. And then
I
they were
hear
like,
you.
here's a bunch of IOEs to do. So, I appreciate, you guys, please keep working on it.
Got
I
it.
do what I can, and I do what I want. I do the IOEs because I want to be a mentor. I want to be a coach, but I'm
We hear you.
ashamed of having my face, and my name attached to this program when it's clear that this isn't working, but nobody seems to be doing anything
Right.
about it. So I do appreciate the fact that you guys have spoken to them and are trying to work with them, but I
We
mean,
certainly are. And
keep
Kendra,
keep keep working.
if you don't mind, I might reach out to you to get some more facts in our next fight with them, if that will work for you.
Please do. I am
Okay.
here. Everyone, I
Okay.
don't know if anybody on this call knows me, but you guys know that I'm not a shrinking violet. I'm very
And
vocal when
uh,
it comes to
and
this airline
obviously,
because I
yes,
have,
we
I'm
hear you, and
very
obviously
well
passionate about
invested in
this.
it. Yes,
Yes.
absolutely. And so please, if you need to reach out to me, I'll give you whatever information I have.
Great.
Um,
I
yeah,
appreciate it.
yeah.
I-
Thank you.
No, thank you.
Thanks, Kendra.
Thank you,
Eric,
Andrew.
Hello, can you hear me?
we can.
Okay,
Eric.
perfect. Hey there, how are you doing?
Good.
Great.
How are
How are
you?
you?
Good. So I don't have a question so much as a statement. You opened the call saying that we were overstaffed and talking about the colas and everything. And I don't know if it was brought to your attention or if it was mentioned in management meetings at all, but given all of that, it was very frustrating for not only me but other people to see when March open time opened for Chicago, every single day was red.
Okay. Usually that's happening, Eric, especially these days because you have people coming to your base from these classes. And the reason that it's red goes back to what Kendra's dealing with, which is the IOEs are not getting done in time when the open time is actually opening. So you might have had people supposed to be going to your base, but because they still haven't completed their IOEs and they're behind on doing the IOEs in the training department, then there's kind of a rolling thing now. So now your grid is red because your IOEs are not in base where they should be, or your new hires are not in base where they should be. So that might be part of it. So we can look into that. Yeah, other than that, if that's not the issue, then we do have to have a conversation with the company about the percentages they're using on those boards. So
Okay,
I'll look
got you.
into that.
Thank you.
Uh-huh,
Appreciate that.
no problem.
Yep, have a good one.
You too.
Thanks, Eric. Kathy.
Again, I'm like Eric, mine
Hi.
is more of hi. Mine's more of a statement than a question. I wanted to let you guys know I haven't even gotten an email you two. I got a call from Eric Selman a little while ago that the Team Frontier bowling polo shirts are about to be shipped. So
I like that you named them.
people that have ordered the bowling shirts should have them shortly.
So just to clarify, for those who don't know what the bowling shirts are, they're the white shirts with the blue insets. Polos.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, exactly. Yes. The new polo shirts with the blue insets should be being shipped in the next day or so. And vests are about 2 to 3 weeks out. HPI has promised us that they will be shipped by the end of the month. I know we've all heard that before, but that's what they tell us. And we finally got a pair of stretch pants as a sample. They were completely unacceptable and see-through, so we're waiting for another new sample.
Okay, well, at least we're working towards the right
We're
right
moving
thing
in a
here.
direction. It's
Right.
slow as molasses, but we're moving.
All right.
But
And for
yeah,
those of you on the call who don't know, Kathy Precht is our MEC uniform chair. So that is an update on the uniforms from her. So thank you, Kathy, for that. We appreciate it.
I know the pants are a big question for everybody, and I've always pledged to get all that information out as quick as possible. And I'll have a printed update sent out soon. So, but mostly it was the polos and the vests. You'll see them soon.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you,
Right.
Kathy. Any other questions? If you want to raise your hand, we're happy to take them for you.
There might be some in the chat. Let me see if I can.
I cannot get in there because
Okay. All right. I got it.
my screen is up.
Looks like that was Eric. Are they allowing us to be the volunteers and take the money for the future flight? Yes. Yes, you are revenue passengers. So this is going back to if you are on an Easy 20, you are a revenue passenger. If they ask for volunteers and you think you're going to be the ones going to be pulled, volunteer and take the flight credit. Absolutely.
Volunteer before you get voluntold.
Right. Let's see. Sorry, for some reason my screen won't go down. Says, does LOA have a time frame for processing paperwork for employees on leave to return to work? I submitted a return to work form a month ago and I'm still not able to bid for April. Ciara, I hope I'm saying your name correctly. You need to contact your local council and let's get that paperwork taken care of for you. So we need to fast track it. So whichever base you are, for example, Denver at afafrontier.org, MCO at afafrontier.org, let us know what's going on so we can check on all this for you. Looks like that's what I've got in the chat box right now. Any more questions from
Right.
anybody?
Yeah, can you give that email address for the LOA delays? Is it?
Yeah, you just want to reach out to your local council, and your local council emails are your base, 3-letter base code. So Denver or DEN or MCO or CHI, whatever your base code is, and then it's going to be at afafrontier.org. And
I see it
hopefully that,
displayed on my screen right now.
thank you. And that way we can help you facilitate a response from LOA, because the LOA department has been very slow. There's new people in there now, so we've got to be on top of them. So let us help you.
Yeah, because I've had a pending FMLA approval since October. And I
Yeah.
have communicating with them, sending them emails. I'm getting no response. And I have sent in 2 requests to be released this coming on the 9th. And I've got nothing back from them. I can't even get them to respond to my emails.
Okay, that's why you need to get your local your local councils involved. Our presidents have a great ability to help you guys out and facilitate these LOA responses. So reach out to your local council.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Liz, you have a question?
Hey, Liz.
Okay, am I unmuted now?
You are,
You're
yeah.
unmuted.
Okay, hi everyone. Yes, I wouldn't want to like let an opportunity to defend our Trenton base go on. So yeah, yes, as I was working on my bid earlier today. So, and again, I know you know, and I know you're working on it. However, just a statement about we are opening new bases. However, not putting flying in the bases that we currently have, particularly Fort Lauderdale. I will speak up for them as well, is even more screwed than Trenton normally is. And I know you know, and I know you're working on it.
Yeah.
Also, the disparity in the type of flying available in each base. Some bases, like ours, have pretty crappy flying. Other bases have decent flying. And I know we care, but does the company give any weight to trying to have some equity between, literally, it's like the ability to earn a living at this point? And need I even touch upon that extremely offensive video chat that Gilles put out telling us how our quality of life would be improved by making us commuters in our own base and I mean, I was so offended. It took every ounce of self-control I had not to send an email to him directly. And like, can someone tell him that that was offensive so that he doesn't do it again?
Feel free to write the email, Liz. Feel free.
Okay.
Don't let us stop you. If you have something to say to these people, you just go. And yes, you're right. The disparity, especially for our dual bases, because they're going to that turn, they're in the process of trying to go to a turn model.
But we don't even have any turns. Like, there's just nothing. Yet it is a base.
I know. because
A
you
base, a
also,
base that we can drive back and forth to each
I
day, so
know,
we can spend more time at home with our loved ones, but yet we cannot because there's no flying in the base.
right.
That
Well, as you know,
I
we
know
are
you know.
trying over here. It's ridiculous. The levels it's ridiculous. But as far as disparity, currently because they're jumbling up the schedule so much, we're seeing a lot of weird flying everywhere, and it's unpredictable which bases are going to get trips and which ones are going to get turns at this point. Um, Andrew, do you have anything to say about that one?
Um, yes, it's not that they, I mean, it's an ongoing, you've been
I
fighting this
know.
fight with us for years now. So at this moment, what's happening with Trenton and Fort Lauderdale in particular, is that it's not that the flying may not be present per se, but the flying's not originating there. So in order to complete this turn model that they're pushing for, the the dual bases, they've selected a primary base, and Trenton and Fort Lauderdale, most of the flying that is coming out of there is not originating, so they can pick that up from bases. So you're gonna see a lot less flying coming out of both of those cities. The further into the turn model that we push, we're obviously fighting back against that, but if the flying doesn't originate, it's hard to force trips in there, because you can't start or end there if it's not originating there. So that's the main problem with Trenton and Fort Lauderdale, as we're being told by the company, on why we're seeing less flying originating out of there.
Right, and
And
also because of where our pilots are. Our pilots
correct.
are based, yeah, our pilots are based in Philly and based in Miami and not based in Fort Lauderdale and Trenton. And so that's just another level of things we need to fight here, because that's also contributing to all of this.
So I know you see a base and you see flying, and I'm strictly answering this question from their perspective and why you're seeing less trips being built out of there. It's the pilots, it's the origination of the flights, and that is taking, as we push further into this turn model, that's the problem with those two cities. What I had other information.
Probably about the different trips in each base.
Oh, yes. As far as the disparity in trips in every base, Jen's 100% spot on. It's as we push down towards turns, as they push the system down towards turns, some of the bases were easier to get to turns because had more established routes. So some of the older bases like Denver, Chicago, Trenton, we were easier to, or like Philadelphia, the more established cities that have more established routes were easier to get into that turn area. The brand new bases, they're clearly having routes built for this turn, but the newer bases like Atlanta, Dallas, they are finding those more difficult to get to a turn model based on the way the route network is currently set up, and that's going to change in the summer. Kim, have I explained all of that appropriately? I think I saw your face on the call earlier.
Yes, and I continue to try to update on that every month. I'm trying to send that pre-bidding update so that everybody's aware. But yeah, that is correct. That is what's going on. Staffing is also leading into some of the issues, but it's not as big as the more established route.
So Kim is leaving our preliminary review, and she's trying to update what your bids will look like without giving away the farm, because they do change them between preliminary and final, but she is trying to give you a heads up. So watch out for those E-lines. She's trying to give you a heads up on what bidding in your base will look like for that month.
And I'll just add, for those of you who don't know, this is Kim Carson. She is our MEC scheduling chair. So she helps us with all of that every month. Thank you, Kim.
Thank you.
Thanks, Liz.
Yeah,
Sorry
we
we don't
appreciate
have
your
better news
passion,
for
Liz.
you.
Yeah.
Yes,
All
passion.
of that. No, I mean, We really do. We
Yes.
really do appreciate your fight. So keep helping us.
Okay, absolutely. Thanks, guys.
Kendra, welcome back.
I know it's me again. And Loki, I know, I'm so sorry. And Loki, just to kind of piggyback on what Liz was saying, in addition to the Trenton drama that's going on there, I understand that. I sympathize with that completely. But, now that we've got Trenton, Cruz, I know it's a dual base, but, obviously there are people who would specifically prefer to only do Trenton. So now they're coming to Philly, which is fine. They need to make their money just like the rest of us. I don't know if anybody has looked at the Philly bid packet for April. I understand that they want to do this turn model, but just just to see. I looked at the DFW bid packet, high hour turns, nothing, rarely, they do international, yes, but a lot of them are domestic, decent hours, not an extensively long duty day. In Philadelphia, we've got the internationals, and then they're giving us a bunch of double turns, shuttling up and down the East Coast with 12 and 13-hour duty days for, a 6 or a 7 hour pay. If they're going to do turns, that's fine. Do whatever you need to do. Although, let me be clear, I sympathize with the people who not only commute by plane, but who drive 2 and 3 hours to get to the airport to do these turns. They have to be productive. And I, as a person who has been Philly based since I've been here almost 6 years, I think it's disgusting how DFW, a brand new base, can get these high hour turns, domestic turns, and they've got us going Boston, Charlotte, and all over Florida, double turns with 12 and 13-hour duty days. I'm just like, make it make sense. I don't understand. I'm a person, I'm not going to give everybody all of my business, but it's just me paying all these bills. I am flying 120 to 140 hours a month. I'm literally with this April bid packet. When I tell you the heat that emanated from my body, when I looked at that bid packet, I'm going to be at the airport practically every day trying to make my money when that was never the case before. And again, just like Liz said, the fact that Gilles would put that video out talking about how great this is going to be for our quality of life, do not gaslight me. If you're going to do it, then do it. But don't gaslight me into thinking, into making me think that this is going to be an improvement of my quality of life when I know that is not the case. I'm just, don't sugarcoat it, like, be for real. But the fact that Philly is getting these double turns with these 12 and 13-hour duty days, completely unproductive with these ungodly report times, 4:45. I'm sorry, I'm 6 years here now. I'm not doing a 4:40 or 4:45 report for a 13-hour duty day. So is there anything that's being done about, distributing the flight? How is DFW getting the DFW to Philly turn?
Last month, the DFW had all the turns, and this month they have all the trips. And last month, someone else had this, and someone else has this. Right now, the company is so busy shuffling the schedule to try and make this crazy thing that they want to do work, that we are literally getting the brunt of this, because even the preliminaries they do change, because they're changing them as they're coming out. They don't know what they're doing until we get to that moment when those bids are coming out. And so the whole problem is that they're still shuffling flights to try and figure out how to get to their goal, which the executives have dropped on their shoulders and said, you have to make this happen. And our crew planning is going, oh, okay, we're going to try to make this happen. Our scheduling team is saying, hey, this isn't fair. So there's a lot going on behind the scenes as far as just no one being prepared for what this is, like the company itself, like the crew planning team, everyone. And keep in mind that you guys got the short end of the stick last month and Dallas got it the month before. It's been a rotating short stick so far. Although I will definitely say Trenton and Fort Lauderdale getting their flights pulled has been very consistent.
I feel like Philly, though, has been getting the short end of the stick for at least a year, if not more.
and
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 it's
I hear you. I
crazy.
hear you.
I'm just
Yeah,
like,
I hear you, but I got the
wow.
same story from the folks in Chicago. I got the same story from, like, do you know what I mean? Like, everybody is hurting right now. I mean, I get that you feel it in your base, but Chicago's feeling it in their base, and Denver's feeling it in their base, and it seems Phoenix is definitely feeling it in their base. So it's not isolated to Philly. It's just that when they're doing this planning with the trying to get this thing down to turns like they want, it just ends up some bases each month get more trips than the other bases, and because they're trying to get everybody down to turns, that's where they're at. But I agree with you 100%. One, that we don't want the turns, all turns. Two, that it's costing people time and money. And that it's not a good place for us to go. And I do agree with you that they've been throwing out gaslighting comments as far as how wonderful this is going to be for us. We're completely 100% in agreement with you that this is not cool at all. And
Is there, I mean, I understand that you guys can't dictate, their business practices and what they feel like they need to do as an airline. It's been said that Gilles was on flight saying, on paper, quote unquote, this is what the company feels that they need to do to save this airline. But
yeah,
is the union, is the MEC, like, is there some type, are there discussions being had regarding
yes,
compensation for these
yes.
duty days,
Let me
specifically
just
pay,
cut you off right there. We
okay,
are
pay from the time of
absolutely,
check-in. I'm just
yeah,
asking, pay from
we
the time of check-in.
from the time that this has been starting, we have been working with with our international officers, with our international attorneys, to try and come up with a really good and effective plan to help the flight attendants. I do want you to know that we have been exploring every avenue. We've been looking into things that haven't been done for a long time in the industry. We are aggressively approaching this. And I want you to know that we are almost to the point where we can, right now, everything that we're working on, I can't talk to you guys about because we are trying to play another game of poker with the company. We want to make sure that when we come out with a plan, that it's not a plan that they're already aware of. And so I need to make sure that you guys know that yes, 100% we're working on a plan, and yes, 100% something's going to be done, and we are going to be fighting. We're not just sitting on our hands rolling over and letting this happen. However, the details of that plan will be released to the flight attendants as soon as we can release them. And I'm hoping it
Okay.
happens within this month. Okay.
Thank
But
you very much.
absolutely.
I mean, I appreciate, all that you guys are doing, but I mean, literally, I looked at that April bid packet and I mean, I was, my
Yeah,
heart was racing. I was like, this is not sustainable at
we
all.
understand.
And
We absolutely understand.
it's just so frustrating. I'm like, do I have to get a second job? And yes, you've already seen me previously. I'm invested here. I'm 6 years
Right,
in. I'm not
right.
going to another airline, unless they kick me out of here, which I hope they don't do because I'm already very vocal and I'm sure they're probably like, oh my God, here she is again. But you can't treat people this way. This is crazy.
Yeah,
So,
we agree.
keep fighting. We do appreciate it. And, hopefully something will come of this because
Yes,
4 late turns with a 13-hour duty day and a 4:40 report, madness, absolutely
right,
crazy.
right. I agree 100%. I'm looking at the chat box and it says, Julie in Denver, as the company is reducing trips, why are they still sending other bases to Denver to do our high-hour returns and stay in hotels? The problem with Denver this particular month was we had more flying coming out of Denver than we had flight attendants to fly it. And so the hours in Denver had to be given to other bases simply to cover the flying. And that's the short story of that. We obviously don't want them to give our great turns in Denver or any other base to a different base if we're looking at we need high hour turns in those bases. However, the short version of what happened in Denver this time was the fact that we had more hours to fly than we had flight attendants to fly them. And so that's why you saw quite a few trips going out of base that were, Denver trips or Denver based, turns.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you very much. I mean, literally, I looked at that April bid packet and I mean, I was just like, this is not sustainable at all. And it's just, it's so frustrating. I'm like, do I have to get a second job? And yes, you
Question from Leanne was, so are reserves still going to be required to be within a 2-hour call out of Trenton and Fort Lauderdale if they aren't building trips originating from those airports? Currently, they are still dual bases for as long as they are considered dual bases, Trenton and Philly and Fort Lauderdale and Miami. I think also Chicago, Oraton, Midway. All of our dual bases will always have 3-hour call outs. So unless they decide to close one of the pieces of the dual base and turn it into a single base again, then the call out will be 3 hours. So dual bases will always be 3 hours. Let's see, I've got comments. I don't see any more questions. Okay. I think that covers the ones in the chat box. Any more questions, you guys? Let's see. Sarah wants to know, why are we overstaffed, but bases are covering other bases' turns? Because we are lopsidedly overstaffed, Sarah. And not only are we lopsided, it means that the bases that Denver needs more flight attendants to cover the flying. So we're overstaffed. We have too many flight attendants. And that's why when we run the bids, you end up with, if you don't request more hours and you're given the company threshold, you end up with 60 or 70 hours as opposed to 120 you might have requested. The reason, but when they separate the hours for each base, there's a natural, Kim, how do I want to say it? A natural ability for the flying to go to certain bases. And so we say that base naturally has a larger amount of hours it needs to cover, but then we look at how many flight attendants are in that base. And since those numbers change every month, the natural flying that wants to go into a base, they're not staffed technically for that every month. So some months that we want the flying, Denver for some reason came up with a lot of hours with not enough staff. But that doesn't mean we're not overstaffed overall throughout all the bases.
So the company utilizes, and the company utilizes an average. They use a line average, and that's where those line averages come into play. Is they calculate what they think the line average is going to be, but then the bidding behavior changes. So when that bidding behavior changes, and now all of a sudden you're seeing people getting more hours than they wanted or less hours than they wanted, that's a direct result of the bidding behavior. So you have to be careful with the number of hours that you put in there, because if the bidding behavior changes, now you're going to have too many things uncovered, and now you've got to force hours on people. So that's where the line averages come into play, and how bidding is kind of the averages they use. That really boils down to they try to do an 84 or an 85 or an 86 average. And then when they hit that, that's the number of hours, that's the number of people. But that doesn't always, the staffing, when Denver has more hours than 84 hours is going to mean, then now they've got to give that flying to another base. Does that make any
yeah.
Sorry, I don't want to get too far in the weeds, but a lot of it is the line averages that they use to calculate the lines every month that they're using. And those are across the board. It's not just for one base, it's across the board.
Yeah. Hope that answered. I think we're done with the chat box again. Let's see.
Right. I think we have
more
reached
questions?
our time limit. So if you don't have any more questions.
Okay. And then let me just go with the last slide here. Our next contract negotiation session is March 26th to the 28th. With the Zoom meeting being March 27th at 9 p.m. Eastern, we will send out the link for you guys. It's also already on the AFA Frontier website under what is it under? Under committees and negotiation. You'll find the link for that Zoom already, and I will send it out again the morning of the 27th, so you guys have it. All right. Guess that's it. Thank you guys all for joining us on the all call, and we will talk to you soon. Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Have a great night, everybody.
Thank you.